All right, ladies, happy Monday. Welcome to another amazing call Monday community group call with our special guests that we have been every week bringing a always a fantastic powerhouse women to pour into your lives. For those of you that have been showing up every week, I'm so proud of you. By the end of this calls, when we are we're not going to be done, but then we're going to go back into our bi-weekly. I really want to see you and I want to hear what you got from all these calls and all these guests that we brought in. I mean, these people are, I'm not here just to, to be cheesy or kiss their butts. But these people, they are big deal. Okay. Like I really give you the honor, Adora, because I know you have been serving so many people, and you have been speaking in amazing stages like Les Brown, who is a legend, and I'm absolutely in the self-development world with Tony Robbins and whatnot. So I'm just so grateful for you to be, sharing your precious time with this community of women that I have, that I'm so excited to coach and help. But with no further ado, I met you, in another business, coaching. And as soon as I connected with this woman, I was like, I need to get to know you like ASAP. There's this presence about her. And then when we connect, I was like, holy moly, where are you from, girl? So anyways, she's amazing. I'm going to let her, shine and just pour your heart in, with this beautiful community, because these ladies will totally appreciate.
Awesome. Patricia, thank you so much. And you all, I mean, Radha, I love seeing, I think you're in a gym. I mean, we're kindred in that I really believe our vessels and our bodies, it's the only real estate you land as a spirit. Like, think about it. Like if spirits were flying around, like knowing everything, seeing everything, it would be like scoring a body that you could like feel the hot stove, taste the yummy fruit, move and feel the sweat, have your heart broken and put back together. Like that would be the greatest score ever. And so the only real estate that you actually get is this physical thing. And I know you've heard it a million ways, right? I mean, in religion and depending on your spiritual beliefs, your yoga practices, it's like the body is a temple. It's the house, right? But I love sharing. I always use my imagination to find other ways to sell myself on what's true, because our brains get comfortable and we can take it for granted. Blah, blah, blah. My body's a temple. I'm going to build it with Cheetos, right? Blah, blah, blah. My body's a temple. I'm just going to run it into the ground and stare at blue lights all day and everything's going to be fine. And, we are resilient people and everything in moderation. I don't know if I necessarily believe that, but we come back. We come back. And Patricia, I love so much your stand for women, your stand for health, your stand for women really caring for their bodies from a place of love, right? And from a place of like being your own greatest fan, so you can show up for the people and the mission and the things that call to you. So I'm going to play a little game with you all. And as we go out, I'm going to follow my own flow and reveal, whatever feels like coming up. But first, I want to ask Christy, Mary, if you can put on your cameras, that would be amazing. Seema. So I need to know, Radha, Seema, yay, Christy, where are your names from? And I'm going to say first, I have a Zaina, my daughter. Her name is Zaina. And so that's why I'm like, okay, let's hear these names. So where are they from? So if you'll unmute and tell me the origin of your names, that would be great. Radha's trying. She's like, Seema, yes.
Mine's Indian.
Okay. And what does it mean?
It means border.
Border. And have you seen that?
Boundary.
Boundary. Have you seen that show up for you?
Totally.
Maybe I'm gonna
That's
think
not- yeah.
about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. And Radha?
Mine is also Indian,
Okay.
and I don't actually know exactly the meaning so much as it that it's the name of like a Hindu goddess, like Krishna's consort was Radha.
Wow.
Seema probably
That-
knows better than me.
We'll just call it goddess.
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 Well, yeah, goddess to the main guy, right? All right.
It's
And
empowering.
yeah. Well, and so the rest of you, I'd love to know, Patricia, do you know your name meaning?
Besides that, it was very popular in the 90s, 70s in America. Because every woman that I talk to that is Patricia, they are grandmas here, you know, like.
Oh, that's
But I know I'm just being silly. But from what I understand, it was a queen, you know, somewhere in Europe or something like that. Yeah.
Queen. We got to look it up later. Seema, we have Seema to the second power. We have two Seemas here, right? Am I saying it correctly? Your
Yes.
name? Yes. All right. And do you know your name as border or boundary as well?
Yeah, I did know that. I'm surprised you know that.
Well, I know because Seema told me. The other Seema told me. But have you seen that show up in your life?
Oh, that's a good question. Actually, I've never really thought about it. I don't know. I have to think about that one. I'm not sure.
All right.
Has the other Seema?
I mean, I had to think about it when she asked me. Nobody has ever asked me that.
Yeah, it's
Good.
interesting because I was just telling my kids that that's the name, the meaning of the name, and in a roundabout way, like it also means like summit, like the top.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah.
also refers to the border between India and Pakistan is like a common reference. And so in a roundabout way, it actually means sacred. Because that border, if you look back in history, was a very, controversial battle. So in a roundabout way, it actually means sacred as well. So
Yeah.
I'll have to think about that though. It's a good question.
Awesome. Christy and Mary and Audra and Rose, name meanings. We're going to play a few games and I'll give you the point. All right. But I want to hear Mary.
So I have German, Irish, and Italian on all sides of our family. So it is a profoundly Catholic name that goes back multiple generations on all sides. And I think that I actually, other than the Virgin Mary, which is what that name stems from, it's interesting because again, it's like hundreds of generations of Marys, but it is a pretty old name. You don't hear, unless you go to Catholic school, you rarely hear the name Mary now. So that's about what I know
Holy
about.
baby, it's holy.
It's holy. Yeah. Mother of God. Right. And then when it's generational too, there's that's pretty cool because you hear a lot of men with their names passed on, the third, the fourth, the fifth. But when you take a woman's name and pass it on, that has a different kind of connotation and power, which is pretty cool. Audra? Oh, you're eating. Go ahead, Mary. What were you going to say?
My husband's family is also all Italian. And when we looked at all of our names, and they're Catholic as well, the name, it's just interlaced throughout all of our families, which is, if you're Mary or Catherine or Elizabeth in our background, that's
all the big queens. Yeah.
queens.
I'm looking up Patricia name meaning while we do this. Okay, how about who wants to go next? We still have Rose and Audra. Audra stopped eating. Yes, Audra.
I have no clue.
Huh?
I have no clue.
You have no clue. All right, and you're in the South like me. Where are you from?
Alabama.
All right, I'm in Texas, and a lot of my family talks like this. When I call them, they're like, hi, we're fixing to go to the store. Adora, we'll call you back. I love a good Southern accent. Patricia means noble. Yeah, noble. Queen. Very good. Rose and Christy. Uh-oh, you're muted, Rose.
Unmute. Okay. Am I unmuted now?
We hear you, baby.
Yay. Okay. So my name obviously is a saint. We're Catholic, but my mom named me after the flower Rose, and also after the nurse that took care of her when she had me. And
Aw.
then the nurse told my mom that her mother named her Rose, and that means Rose is God's signature. So I always thought that was kind of cool when she told me that story later. So how did God do this in my life? God has always shown up in my life, but I'm an RN. So I followed the OB nurse who took care of my mother and became a nurse. And
Oh, that's so cool.
I knew at 7 I was going to be a nurse, and my whole career has been nursing. So yeah.
So cool. I love it. Christy. Muted.
There we go. I don't know what it means, but it's definitely Catholic background.
Well,
but
follower
that's-
of Christ. I looked it up in advance. For some reason, I
There
knew.
you go.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Catholic. So we got a lot of Catholic influence in the house. Catholic and Indian. All right. Very cool. So name meanings, it's a vibration that's spoken over you your whole life. And many of our names, if not all of them here, have ancient roots. So whether it's conscious in the subconscious world and in our lineage and in the world of language, it's floating out there, and that's the vibration. Like the sacred border just walked in, and we have 3 of them, right? Or 2 of them in the room today. Mary, the lineage there, Audra, we need to look up Audra name meaning.
yes.
And then I will be, hold on. Let's see, Audra. So we're talking about surrender today and balancing our feminine and masculine energy and surrender as a way. I keep putting in AI.
I looked it up. Radha means success.
Success. Success is in the house. So I want you to just celebrate that you have the sacred borders around you, guaranteeing noble success and all like the vibe that you're in, that you can claim, right? And stand in. I've always been really fascinated with names, and I've always had, not always, but from age 15, I had a spiritual awakening, right? And for me, that was through Christ at that time. And before that, I was very lost. And I know that it's very Southern, kind of thing, but really I was like, am I going to drink? Am I not going to drink? We had moved 13 times before 9th grade. I'd lived on my own at 12 in a house by myself. My boyfriend could come stay the night with me. Homeless people were moved into our home in exchange for babysitting. So when I say I was lost, it was like a crazy wild, wild west in my little world at that time, right? And so identifying with, and maybe it was my Southern roots, and that's the highest consciousness per capita in the South is the Christ consciousness, but that was the consciousness that came and connected with me through, I was piling my bed up with all these things I wanted to give away to neighbors, like poor people around me, Barbies I was saving, and I was getting really high and elated on, if you've ever thought about giving a gift or a present, or right. And the scripture, given you shall receive, came into my head. And I was like, God, that's what I need every moment of every day. I give you my life, right? And it moved on. I went and started a giving club in school, and I was like, we've got to get close, guys, and all these people, and all these. And then somehow I found a Bible. and the words started leaping off the pages to me. It went from thou shalt begat, Mary, who begat Mary, who begat Mary, who begat. No, I'm just kidding. It's like, but it moved from that to me saying, did you guys know that God buried Moses and nobody knows where he is? You know, and I became awake and aware that there was a loving God that cared about me, that knew what was going on in my heart and mind, knew my story, knew all of my desires, my mistakes, like a witness and a protector. And so this whole world that was very necessary for me, like I'm 100% certain that I would not be who I am or have experienced the things that I've experienced without that relationship. And it's still it's the root of everything I express and explore, right? Even when it's not, it is. It's like, you know, me going, is that true or isn't that true? You know? And the reality is, I don't think there's much that we can express or explore that isn't spiritually impacted, because we're spiritual beings in a body, right? So names, I remember when I first started really exploring names and what does that mean? And I've always been very fascinated with it. And one day I met this girl, Phoebe, a woman, and she was like, you know, I just love glitter. Everything that glitters is gold. Glitter, glitter, glitter. When she showed up and she was like, glitter, glitter, bling, bling, her shoes, everything was glitter, you know? And I was like, okay. She was like, I'm going to write a blog, you know, everything. She was like, and then I'm like, what does your name mean? This was like a week later. She was like, I don't know. We looked it up and it was a shining light. It was like, of course you are like glitter embodied, like you resonate with that. So I hope that as you think about your own name and maybe even look up your middle name and your last name and you know, contemplate like where is this showing up for me in my life? Where is this, you know? Okay. So one more game and then we'll dive in. So one more game, only if you want to. Are you up for another game? Seema? Yeah, she looks so comfortable. I want to pass out next to you. Like if I laid down there, I would not be.
Me too.
Right?
That bad. Look at that. What is going on there?
Like, oh my gosh, I can't even look at you. And she's smiling like, yeah. Oh, you're glowing though. Okay, so this game is going to require for you to be quick, and it's just a game, but it means like your first answer, just put it out there. All right. If you have something to write down, cool. If not, just remember. Okay. So if you could be any animal in the world, what would you be? Quick, write it down, or hold it really quick. Don't think too hard. All right, let's hear. What were they? Just say them out loud, fast. You can unmute or put it in the chat.
Giraffe.
Cat.
Were you the cat, Seema, or Patricia? Giraffe. Who was the giraffe? What were you, Patricia?
Believe it or not, a hummingbird came to me.
I love it. No, what else? Let's hear them. Someone's typing. Panda bear. Oh, how cute. Well, I mean, unless you're up close, right? It might be like, it could be great. It could be like, Oh, okay. What else? Dog. Okay. Everybody has their first animal. Okay. Now, if you couldn't be that animal, they didn't exist. What's the next animal? Hurry. Fast.
Lion.
Lion.
Yeah.
Lioness. Okay. Seema, is that you too? A lion? Yeah. Seema K, is that you? What were you?
I don't know. I couldn't think of a second one.
Come
Zebra.
on. Zebra?
Yeah.
Okay. Puma. Woo. I like it. Okay, everybody has their second. This is the last time. Last time, your animal. Go, go. If you couldn't be either one. Last time.
An eagle.
Eagle.
Dolphin.
Giraffe.
Giraffe. Is a red hat falcon. Woo. Okay. All right. Bird, koala. These may be in a different order now. I love them. Ooh, otter. I didn't see that earlier. I didn't have the chat open. Okay. Psychology game. So first animal is the one that you like want the world to see. How you want the world to see you. Is that resonating? I see some smiles. Patricia, why are you laughing? What was your first one? Hummingbird. I'm just hummingbird.
Because I'm like, that if you see me, that's not what you get from seeing me, but there's that side of me, you know what I mean? That if you really get to know me, you will see that I can be that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But if you don't know me, you're gonna think I'm just
Hummingbirds.
lying and I'm gonna eat you up.
Yeah. Well, the hummingbirds, those are like, they're powerful and strong and beautiful and tiny. I think they fly fast. Like, I forget how many times they're in the way they zip and move. Okay. So the second one is the way you, so the first one's the way you want the world to see you, or the second one is the way that you see yourself. And the third one is what you are. And so when you're looking at it, the third one, it's not about like, I saw a laugh, Rose. I wonder what was a falcon. Yes. Oh, that's cute. Christy, a bird, koala, puma. Yeah. And it's the elements. So when you're thinking of that, you think about the elements of that, like what you like about them, how your own mind identifies them. Anything coming up?
You know, so interesting because it's like the lioness, like the way that I wanted the world to perceive me, it's almost like this protection, you know what I mean? Like, right? Like, I don't mess with me, but because inside I'm a hummingbird, you have no idea, but I can also get my claws in you as an eagle because that's really who I am. I love like how you can play with that, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, it was funny. The first time when I did this, the first one was a dolphin, and it made so much sense because I love the way they're playful and loving and fun and like all that. The second one I picked, the way people see you, right, is the bird. So the first one's how I wanted to be seen. It's how you want to be seen, right? Which is kind of a protection. If they see you as a hummingbird, then it's cool. Hummingbirds are cute and they're fast and they're colorful, you know, they're sweet. The second one, you know, the bird, the way people do see you, the way they see you, which you called it, Patricia, you were like, they see me like a lion. If you saw my presence, that's what you're getting, right? It's the way you want them and the way it's the way they see you, actually, the second one. So my second one was a bird, free, flying, above, whatever. And then the third one, what you actually are, an eagle, right? Mine was a lion, which I am very strong. I am very resilient. I am very, you know, the things that I relate to a lion, which is why I love the I manifested a child with the Shakira hair and the lion hair that I always wanted, right? That big, like I'll share hair. I'm so glad poofy hair is back. I was wearing it without it being back, but now more. And so part of the reason I'm bringing up some of these things is because, strength, masculine, feminine, it's a topic that I've spent a lot of time in. I wrote a whole book about feminine manifesting. And when I wrote that book, and where I was coming from is I had spent a bunch of time. My daughter's 12 now. I went through a divorce when she was around 2, or separation. And it got really heavy and it was really dark for a little bit. And I went full body, totally masculine, like in my masculine, right? Like very strong, shredded, barely thinking about, I didn't even realize it, but I mean, I love beauty. I love texture. I love colors. Like none of that was in my mind. What was in my mind is creating a safe place for her. I was in a very fierce space, a very driven space, a very strong space. And in that moment, it was a pretty necessary space, right? But what I noticed is that things started to get everything was grind. Everything was hard. Everything was like through my discipline and will, right? And then I remember I was going through, I think the first major opening was I decided to go to a striptease class, or it was something like that. It was either that or a cabaret class with all, women. And I remember even thinking about that. I got nervous, my anticipation, like, what's it going to be like? I had my little knee pads and a feather boa, and walking in, I was like a little like awakening something that had been shut down. Even that, just knowing I'm going to class, we're going to play. I don't know what's going to happen. And then, we got in the class and I kind of stayed in my own lane at first. You don't want to look to the left. You don't want to look to the right. This music's coming on. And I just remember as the music started playing and moving in my body and as I awakened again, just my feeling sensual or sexy or playful, that it was like something opened that I had shut way down, right? Like after a divorce, that's kind of normal, like locking that up, putting the belt on it, throwing away the key, I'm putting the sharks at the door. I didn't even realize I had done that. But as I opened that, I remember walking outside, and it was all for women. I wasn't doing it to go, perform this for anyone else. But I remember like feeling like I looked outside and the colors were brighter again, and I would feel the breeze, and I was like, the breeze, it felt so sexy, like, hey there, breeze, you're flirting with me. It felt like all this aliveness that had me realize, and colors started calling to me again, and velvets and beauty and fabrics. And it was like I remembered a part of myself that I've forgotten. Rose, you've been through a cycle like that before. I see you nodding over there. You're like, yep, shut it down. And I remember the reawakening. And you're like, oh, air, oh my gosh, I forgot that part of myself. And what I noticed is that things started to open for me, like opportunities and doors and things that were becoming attracted into my friendships, but like things that I had been working for and doing well, but through a lot of grind and hard work. And I am the warrior woman, hear me, like I was in my inner Pink. I was channeling, Pink, the artist. I was really like, or rah, 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 Lady Gaga on that edge, I was there, which is beautiful. But when this other side opened, I started manifesting all these things, resources, clients. It was like this whole balance. So I needed to do a super dive in my feminine for a while, just to like balance the rivers. Right now, what I feel and know now for me, not that there won't come these seasons of really having to tap into strength and full-blown warrior, right? But I'm happiest and the most productive whenever there's the blend of my feminine and masculine flowing. And that looks different ways on different days, right? Like, and maybe you relate to this, there are seasons. So I don't know, I think there's this whole movement, and I've been part of it, where it's all about, you know, you need to be so in your feminine and then you'll have everything, right? Almost like don't be too masculine. But here's the deal. If who you are is a lion, then feminine is going to look different than if who you are is a peacock. And they're both so beautiful and outrageously glorious, right? So that expression of masculine and feminine, first of all, it's very personal, right? It's not about, I love red lipstick and I do love big hair and makeup and nails and lace and glitter and all the things. Like, I love it, way over the top. And my 12-year-old that you met, she loves Banana Republic, Gap. So my closet, you have to be a certain age to understand this, but my closet is like Peg Bundy to her, right? Compared to, or like it's, you know, all leopard and zebra and colors. And we have a few places that we overlap in our style. So, and she's stunning. She's beautiful. She's strong. She's feminine. She's her own expression, just like you are, right? So that's one thing that I want to lay out, because often if we've been in a place where we're really in our strength and we've maybe even overexerting that, and we're exhausted and depleted and feeling like there's no vibrance or vitality or beauty or color in there, those are usually like, okay, we're so heavy on our inner masculine of drive, go, fight, run, push, do, right? And in our feminine, if we're so in our feminine, la, 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 I'm just gonna hula hoop for 40 hours, you know what I mean? That's like a whole other side. And often we're presented one or the other, right? And now I just need to wear stilettos and, you know, take more hot baths and put roses everywhere and talk softer and lean back and receive everything, right? And I just want to kind of call BS on that, right? That it's, while the elements, there's truth in the elements, the highest truth comes from, first of all, who are you? And what is your expression, right? And your inner feminine may be a strong lioness next to a delicate dove, right? So comparing yourself to someone else's version of surrender, or comparing yourself even to a season in your life, that's not the big win. Right? Like it's more for me, like understanding, okay, who am I? And do I give myself the opportunity to receive? Right? Because that's very feminine, receiving. The feminine body receives the seed of life, and then a baby is made, right? So if we're looking at how our bodies are built, then that tells us about the feminine parts of our nature. it also is a very strong, having birth is a very strong, all kinds of faces come up, right? And is also part of our feminine nature. So I just want to debunk some of the, this is feminine, this is masculine, this is right, because it's individual, and it's as individual as you are. And take a drink of water. And before I move on, Patricia, anyone want to say?
Well, I
Yes.
do, my wheels is already like, woo, you know, because you know, why would I even bring Adora to this call today to talk about feminine and masculine, right? I think that some of you could already, by knowing me, understand why. You know, I am this lioness, as you know, like you said, this, you know, and I hear this all the time. Like, man, I will look at your page, Patricia's like, don't mess with you. You know what I mean? So I'm like, but that's not what I'm trying to portray. It's just that, you know, but the point is, I attract that woman,
Yeah.
right? So that woman understands that. Like, I have a client, right? I have several clients. I mean, I can pinpoint so many of our clients. These women here, they are movers and shakers. They are making huge impact in the marketplace. They are so in their masculine energy, and so am I. That's why we connected, right? To the point that I'm here and I only can speak to myself. I'm just going to remove Seema Cody from this because she is the prince and she knows how to use the feminine energy like nobody that I know, seriously.
I mean,
But
look at her literally laying back.
she's like a prince, girl. I told her, come over here, little princess. Radha is much on that place too, but Radha knows how to flow very beautifully between both energy. I noticed that really nicely. You know, Rose too, because by now, Rose, if you didn't know how to do that, I would be like, you fired because you're 72. You should know how to do that. and Rose is fantastic. But a lot of our clients, and you know, I'm not going to say names here, and I'm going to say to myself on this, I don't even know what it looks like to not be this. I don't even, because my world and everything I know, I had to fight and go and make it happen. And you know what I mean? And always conquer things if I wanted to see happen for me. And then there are some clients here that they are in a very masculine, you know, environment, you know, in courts and systems and, you know, in boardrooms and I know for a fact that they struggle a lot with I don't even know what that look like to be, because like you said, what we've seen about this feminine woman is this woman, oh, okay, so I need to do, because I'm going to be straightforward. It's like, okay, I'm going to take more baths, you know, with bubbles and roses and champagne and chocolate. So that's what makes me feminine. What else? Let me go get a massage. Is that what is going to make me feminine? And you're so right. That's BS, because I feel relaxed, but it doesn't mean that I feel like, oh, I don't even know what this look like. So share with us a little bit about this, because I know that some of us don't even know like how to even start to tap into this power, because we have it. I don't.
Yeah, that's so good. My little Zaina came bouncing in here trying to get my attention. So if she comes again, I may pause and listen to what she's saying. Sometimes it's not that serious. Usually when she goes back out, it's not okay. But if she comes back, I'm going to be like, hold up, my little woman needs something. Yeah. Well, first of all, being in the body, being in our bodies, and when I'm saying in our bodies, you can be in your body and be strong and be what some would say masculine when you're pushing weights, when you're doing yoga, when you're dancing and sweating and have all that fire energy going, right? But when we're in the logic and in our head and in our identity, in the stories, should I do this? Should I do that? I got to do this. We're all up here. I consider that very in our masculine. And I'm using these labels lightly because, you know, the book that I wrote in 2020, and I am a constant student, evolving, expressing, learning, and I'm apprehensive to label things masculine, feminine, when I realize, yes, there are lions and lioness, and there's a feminine lion looks very different than, like I said, the feminine peacock or the feminine, you know, anything else that just moves, butterfly, that just, you know, and a masculine butterfly looks different than a masculine lion, right? And so again, I get kind of apprehensive to make labels, especially when we want to move with it so much that then if you're like I am, I take a rule or a system and I go all in on it 100%. And then it's like until I feel it in my body. But for me, the feminine, like the fact that we have a moon cycle, you know, that in 1 month, when you're ovulating, if you're still in that period of your life, I didn't mean to use period and period talking about periods, but if you're in that time in your life, when you're ovulating, your skin is naturally more glowing. You're naturally more confident. It's a great time to go do presentations, to ask for the raise, to go out dancing, to get on the dating site. But if you're ovulating and you get on the dating site, you also need to be responsible that there's this fog that will make assholes look like saints, right? Because you're ovulating and something primal is trying to continue the life force, right? And then we have other times, like when we're about to have our periods, right? When our body is about to release that life didn't happen, a new life didn't happen, whether you like it or not. I don't know about you all. I will cry at sweet commercials. I cried watching Trolls, the cartoon, like when people forgive each other, I'm like, and my daughter is not that way. She's younger than me. So see, and she's very feminine and very masculine. So it doesn't mean if you don't cry on your period, you're not or before, but I'm just telling you how it is for me, right? And why that, and during your period, it's a great time to release because your body is already in release. So it's a good time to clear out the closets, let go of friends on social media that are toxic in your feed. You know, it's a good time. I'm going to release all the sugar from, maybe not on your period. You might want that dark chocolate, right? But the point is, like, even that shows that our nature is not only cyclical, but in our nature, there are moods and seasons and cycles. And when we're in our masculine, like, I'm going to push all that down. I'm not going to be or feel or sense. I'm just going to drive through everything. There's like a stuffing and it's like, you're not in your nature. Now, I'm not saying be ruled by your nature. I'm not saying our emotional state should determine if we get out of bed and go to the gym or if we eat chocolate or bananas or potato chips.
No, girl, I totally get what you're saying. I'm sorry to cut you off. Here's the thing. This is so good because that's what society has been showing, right? That if I can flow right through those cycles, I'm weak because those cycles can be a little bit emotional, right? And I think that a lot of us, you know, I can speak for myself, I had to be shut down from being emotional because that means I'm weak. And especially being involved with very strong masculine man, right? That wasn't allowed, right? That was a sign of weakness. And now for me, it's like, wow, you know, it is so powerful to be able to, how do I flow through those cycles proudly, right? Like, this is who I am as a woman, you know what I mean? And go, you see what I'm saying? Truly understanding those seasons and embracing just like right now, I have a lot of clients that are going through perimenopause and menopause, and that was terrible when it was for our moms and our grandmas, but that's no more our story. And rewriting this script and getting the help that we needed to get to continue thriving throughout our ages. But the point is, I feel like we are in this movement that the women start to rise up so high, which is fantastic, but we are rising up as man, and
Yeah.
we are not man. You know what I mean? Like, we don't need to we can rise up. And how do I rise up with the flows without being titled you're weak, or you are, you know what I mean? Like, you're so emotional. Like, what, you see what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
and I think
Yes.
that's really us owning that and understanding how to flow on that. And when somebody calls us that or put us down like that, we no longer accept that. We're like, okay, you can say that and you be you, but this is a new movement of women that are rising up to be all that we are called to be, but also being able to flow in our every single cycle. You know what I'm saying?
100%. 100%. You'll hear a lot of what I'm talking about today is about your deeper identity, right? And when our identity is my period's something to hide, my emotions are something to hide, this is something to hide, then there's a compensation and a heavy leaning on what you said, rising up in our masculine to the point of behaving like men, which again, if your nature is more masculine than another, it's not about that comparison of whether you talk dainty or, you know, that's just a different tribe, right? You're a bird, or you're a sing song little, I don't know, something that floats really pretty. I rarely talk. I mean, my voice is loud, it's vibrant, it's buoyant, right? So, but owning of your identity, right? Your nature, and loving, respecting, because that nature is, if we're made in the reflection of God's spirit, whatever you want to call it, male and female, this feminine nature is a reflection of the comforter, the intuition, the cycles of life and all of that, right? So when you own that, when we own that identity powerfully, profoundly, not making excuses for it, also not letting it be an excuse just to fly off at everyone because it's a certain time of the month, or but having compassion and using this, harnessing those cycles, working in harmony with that. That's so powerful, even in homes, right? In relationship, it's like, because men, not that they don't have their own cycles and moods and stuff, but just imagine what it's like for a guy meeting a woman when she's ovulating and like, yeah, let's, you be a little rough with me, pull my hair or do something. And then like, he's like, she loved that. And it's about to be her period and you just want to be held. And they're like, I'm going to pull her hair. And it's like, not, what are you doing? Don't you read my, and I'm bringing that up because the more you know yourself, right, the more all of your cycles start to make sense, and the more you can even communicate. Because as women in our businesses, our home life and our quality of relationship and being able to flow in there, it 100% flow. And for men too, it flows into our business, especially when, if you leave home and that's all in a rack, and then you've got to go to work and perform, yeah, you can put it aside. But again, this is like core identity, like, who am I? And all of this is okay. Not only is it okay, it's like part of your magnificence, right? So 100%. I love that you were getting that and celebrating that. And like, I'm not going to be stifled by that. The other parts of being in the body is that when you hear people say, I had a gut instinct, or my heart told me this, or my, when we're going, no, I'm not going to listen to that. I'm not going to feel that. I'm going to think through these things. I'm going to follow certain rules, or I'm going to shut down my emotions rather than holding space enough that you know how to flow, you know how to hold your emotions, you know how to read what the signals are, because emotion is meant to put you in motion, right? Like when you're afraid, why? Because the original reason for fear is to get you to move from the danger, right? So when you're feeling anger, the original reason is to point out something is not working so that you will take action to shift it, to move it, or to pay attention to it, right? So when we're suppressing those emotions and becoming like just solid soldiers, I think we have less access to that, especially if you're born in a woman's body, right? Like men have a different system in general. And I know that's controversial to say in a world where we're like identifying as cats, which I had you do a minute ago. Like, what animal do you identify as? No, but you know what I'm saying? Like when we're putting just labels everywhere, it can be a little bit tricky. But the point is that we do in our very nature have different rhythms and have different seasons. And by honoring that and getting behind that and still honoring your nature as a fierce eagle, or with the, how'd you say, with the claws, or a falcon or puma, or, you know, these other animals that came up, there's space for all of it, but aligned with your own, surrendered into your own nature versus like defying it. That takes a lot of energy to suppress that, ignore that, work against that. It's like, it's not 100%, it's not congruent, you know?
I love that. Girls, it's 5:58. I don't know about you. I could go deeper and deep into this kind of conversation because I feel that, you know, like I said, in a world where, you know, in a world where things are very masculine, you know, and that's the energy that it gets things done, right? But and then we want to also get into the energy that it lets things be, you know what I mean? I think that has been the biggest struggle for me, is to learn how to tap into that place where I let things be and surrender. So, you know, just in the next couple of minutes that we have left, anybody has any comments before we, you know, we let you go? We obviously love it to, you know, honor your time. Anybody, anything that, you know, stood out for you in this topic, in this conversation, that you know that you could take with you and, you know, and ponder as you go?
I like the comment she said about emotion gets you in motion, because I've been kind of dealing with some of that right now, and I'm like, man, it's just shit's pissing me off, you know, to where I'm taking action on some things, and but I like that little. I'm just gonna go into my week with that little those words. I like it.
And it's good to ask yourself, is this action that I'm wanting to take based on this, is it relative and right? Like what I mean is, if someone says, I don't like your green shoes, and you're like, deleted, canceled from my life, right? That's not necessarily an equal reaction. So you might ask yourself, okay, where is this really coming from? Oh, my dad burned my green shoes, and this person is not about to burn my shoes, right? So like, it's good to, when you have the rage, to question the action I'm taking. Is it equal? Like, does it match as a reasonable response, right? Because sometimes that anger is because you need to cut something. You need to stand up for yourself. You need to use your voice. You need to ask for a raise. You need to say, I don't like the way you're speaking to me. It doesn't work. And that's good. And if you don't take action on it, it's going to just get louder and louder, right? Sometimes it's triggered by something that has nothing to do with the reality of today, but the response is like, you know, like I'm gonna burn, you know, I'm gonna cut you out of. So then, but it's still meant to get you in motion to go, there's something here that needs some tenderness. It needs healing. I need to take action and go get support. I need to maybe go to a therapist, go to work out, go talk to a friend, go meditate, like, you know, like that. So I'm so glad that was resonating for you, Christy. And
Thank you.
anyone else? I do want to honor your time. Yeah.
All right, ladies. Nobody? Okay.
Thank
Thank you so much again, Adora, for your time. Ladies, you know, as you get off this call today, let this thing process. You know what I mean? Maybe put a little, music on your headphones as you're doing your dinner, as maybe you are ready to go for a walk. You know, I don't know, like let this conversation see how it's going to resonate with you in regards to this whole thing about honoring our cycles, honoring who you are as a woman, not pushing it down, right? Being masculine to get things done, but what would look like if I could surrender a little bit more and I could just tap into this feminine beauty that we are and continue showing up like that, you know, where we needed to show up in boardrooms and, you know, whatever, right? And see what I'm saying? So we can stand up and proud of who we are as women. I think it's missing a little bit of that. Because to me, being proud is not just about with this masculine, yeah, I made it through, you know, that's what I'm not talking about. You know what I mean? Like, how can we show up powerfully, but with grace? I think that's the word that I wanted to say, like with grace, right? So instead of, I got to punch these walls every single time, I'm just going to walk through these doors, right? And for me, it's a challenge, but I'm working on that because I find that the more that I'm like that, I manifest the things that truly bring fulfillment into my life, opposed to the things that I had to grind so hard to get, and that made me bitter. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think that's what the masculine energy also sometimes would do. You get it done, but you feel at the end, I got it and it's mine and I conquered. But you know what? I feel a little bitter about this because it took everything out of me. Opposed to when I manifest through grace, I feel fulfilled because I got it with grace. Makes sense? So let's try to work a little bit more of that. And I love you. Thanks so much for showing up. And we will be in touch again, ladies. If you have any questions, just message us. Thank you, Mary, for showing up for the call, girl. I love you, girls. Bye. Thank you, Dora.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you.